I was watching a lot of unboxing videos last week, and one thing kept popping up: people buying cheap binoculars because they look good on paper, only to end up with blurry horizons and a feeling that they've been swindled. That sting of buyer regret is real, especially when you're out on a hike, a birdwatching trip, or trying to catch a distant sailboat and the optics just won't cooperate. So before we dive into the ZEISS 10x32 Victory SF, let's pause a second. If you're the type who wants to avoid that cheap but disappointing trap, you might be wondering whether spending a bit more now will actually protect you from future frustration. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What makes a binocular worth the extra cost isn't just the number of diopters or the brand logo, it's how it behaves in the moments you actually need it. I've spent the past few days watching a local birding group, sitting on a park bench during a sunset, and even testing the thing from the back seat of a car during a drive-by wildlife safari. The Victory SF is marketed as a 10x magnification with a 32mm objective, promising a wide field of view and 90% light transmission. Those numbers can feel abstract until you translate them into everyday scenarios. For a casual weekend hiker who just wants to glimpse the ridgeline a mile away, the 10 power can feel a bit intense. The image can jitter if you're moving, and the field of view, while wider than many competing 10 models, still demands a steady hand to keep the target centered. That's why the SmartFocus concept matters. ZEISS has engineered a twist-free eyepiece that lets you lock focus at a set distance, say 100 meters, and then you can simply point and shoot without the constant refocusing dance. In practice, I found this feature most useful when I was watching a group of ducks on a pond. I set the focus at the water's surface, and every time a duck flew out or dove back in, the image stayed crisp without me fiddling with the knobs. It works, it's not just a marketing gimmick. The real hero here is the 90% light transmission paired with ZEISS 10x32 coating. In low-light conditions, think dawn, dusk, or a densely forested trail, the binocular delivered a surprisingly bright and color-accurate picture. While many entry-level 10 binoculars become washed out as the light drops, the Victory SF maintained contrast in detail. I could make out the delicate feathers on a sandpiper as the sun was barely over the horizon, something I'd struggled to see with my older pair. That level of true-to-life image quality is what many buyers look for when they say they need a binocular that works in all weather. Now, no product is perfect. The biggest practical downside I ran into was the weight. At roughly 1.3 kilograms, it's noticeably heavier than a typical 1032 pair you'd find for half the price. If you're planning a long trek where every gram counts, you'll feel the difference after a few hours on the trail. The extra heft does help stabilize the view a bit. Some users say the weight helps reduce shaking, but it also means you'll have to consider a sturdy strap or a dedicated case for transport. Another subtle trade-off is the eye relief. Because the optics are designed for close focus, people who wear glasses might find the eye relief a bit tight, especially if they need to keep the eye cups open for a longer viewing period. I didn't experience any major discomfort, but it's something to keep in mind if you're a heavy glasses wearer. Who should buy the ZEISS 10x32 Victory SF? If you're a serious birdwatcher, a marine enthusiast who likes to track vessels from shore, or an outdoor photographer who relies on precise framing, the combination of high light transmission, SmartFocus, and a relatively wide field of view makes this binocular a solid partner. It also appeals to those who value durability and brand reputation. ZEISS has a legacy of optical excellence, and the 10x coating offers long-term protection against scratches and water droplets, which is a bonus on wet hikes or after a sudden rain. Who should skip it? If you're a light pack traveler, a casual weekend camper who only uses binoculars a few times a year, or anyone on a tight budget, you might find the price and weight harder to justify. There are cheaper 1032 models that will perform adequately in bright daylight, and if you rarely need that low-light boost, you could invest those dollars elsewhere, perhaps in a better backpack or a set of trekking poles. Also, if you're mainly interested in low magnification for panoramic landscape scanning, a 7 or 8 model with an even broader field might feel more natural than the 10 zoom of the Victory SF. A practical strength that stood out for me was the ease of swapping between two eyes. The binocular's ergonomic design allows you to switch quickly from left eye to right eye viewing, which is handy when you're tracking a moving subject that darts across your line of sight. In a real-world situation, imagine a squirrel darting.